Hey, what is up you guys? It is Monet and I'm back again with another video.
All I do is adore you all of the time. I like to I like to
So today I've read a lot of books this month and I'm very proud of myself because I've been in kind of like a book slump for so long, and I don't know, I'm just really proud that I got through a lot of books, honestly. So I'm going to share those with you right now. So the first book that I read was 1984 by George Oswald, and I had to read this for history class. I don't know, it was a really good book. So this book is about Winston, and he basically is trying to uncover the secrets of the inner party of the government and everything. Government takes over the world, but they try to erase history in a sense. You can't write down any personal records. They're constantly changing the news, and so like if one day they're at war with someone and then the next day they're at war with someone else, it's just hectic. And basically you have to ask yourself, okay, well, there's no facts to back me up, you know, there's no facts to back up what I know, there's no outside sources, so like how can I rebel against the party if, you know, I personally, like, if there's nothing to back me up, and all of the evidence is basically backing up the party, like they're doing these rations and all this stuff. And then you get to this guy called O'Brien, and he basically, I need to stop saying basically, but he defies everything that you think you know. Like, he's over here having like authentic alcohol, and he could turn off his telescreen. That's another thing, you have a telescreen constantly watching your every move, and it can be kind of nerve-wracking. So I don't know, I like this book. I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. The second book that I read this month is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, and as you can see, I tabbed off a lot. This was the first poetry book I've read, and I just tapped off the poems that I really liked. I'm not a big poetry reader. School kind of ruined poetry for me. With the EOGs and stuff, I hated those poetries. I hated those poems. But Milk and Honey was different. Like, I don't know, I guess it's like a modern poetry. It's not anything intense like Shakespeare. Well, it's not anything intense, but I don't know, I just really enjoyed this one, and I don't know, it's just really nice, and there were just so many things. Like, this really opened up the world of poetry for me. Like, I kind of want to continue reading, not necessarily modern poetry, but like just more poetry, just like George Oswald. It kind of made me want to read more classics, because I don't read classics unless it's like assigned to me in class, and there are just some stories that I do kind of want to read for myself, like Frankenstein, and things like that. So yeah, this book, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It didn't really blow me away with anything sensational, but it did have things in there that I really liked, obviously. And like I said, I'm not a big poetry lover, so this really kind of open up the doors for me. The book that I just finished reading, literally, like, I would say day after yesterday. I haven't read anything since then, but this book, The Unbecoming of My Dire by Michelle Hodkins, I don't know how I feel. I started tabbing because I was like, ooh, I'm gonna do a book talk on it, but like, I don't know how I'm gonna do a book talk if I don't understand what the heck happened. This book, we have an unreliable narrator, and I'm pretty sure everyone's read this book but me. But we have an unreliable narrator. Her name is Myra, and she is suffering from PTSD. So she was with her friends at this insane asylum, and it just crashed, and you go through this thing of, she's basically suffering from PTSD, so she has like, it's severe, so she has like full-blown like hallucinations and things like that. So towards the end of the book, if you haven't read it already, I mean, skip ahead, but if I'm pretty sure everyone's read it but me. But basically towards the end of the book, you find out that this guy that she's been seeing over and over and over again is someone that she thought was dead, who she thought she killed him. And I don't know, you just have to really sit back and think, okay, well, is everything that she's seen, was that like, were some of it true, was some of it just hallucinations, like what is going on? You just don't really know if she's telling, like if everything is reality or not. And that's what I kind of like about stories where you have an unreliable narrator. You just don't know, and I find that very fascinating, and it was very well done. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I would have continued to read this book if Noah Shaw wasn't in it. And I don't want to say that to say Mara was a horrible character. It's just that I feel like Noah kind of really brought something special to the book. He brought a little, I don't know, I just don't think the book would have hit it for me if he wasn't there, because the dialogue between him and Mara was just perfect. His demeanor was really perfect. He was just a pretty perfect type of guy. He was a little bit what is the word I'm looking for, like not overprotective but possessive of Myra, I would say. But I feel like that's kind of forgivable considering that, you know, he's a big help in this book, I would say. He was very, very funny, so that's why, I don't know, he ended up being my favorite character out of this entire book. So I don't know, I just feel like I like this book a lot. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read this month is The Accident Season by Mara Foley Doyle. I butchered it. This book, I have issues with this book, and I have a really big issue with this book, and I think that's just kind of me because I was being stupid and didn't read the synopsis. Well, I read the synopsis, but I kind of stopped after here. I didn't continue. So this book, when I first picked it up, I thought it was going to be about this family who during October they just have a bunch of accidents, and I thought that the whole entire book was going to be about them being cautious and then accidents happening and, you know, things like that, and them having to deal. That's what I thought the book was going to be about. That's why I picked it up for November, kind of, because that's why I picked it up and that's why I was interested in it. I started reading it, and then I started tabbing off like all the accidents that they were having, and like, but once I got a little into the book, I realized that there wasn't really much happening, you know, as far as accidents. So I was like, okay, this is really not what I want to read anymore. And so it took me a really long time to read it because I just wasn't interested in it, because I felt like the accidents were going very, very slowly and things like that. And then I finally turned it over and read the whole entire back cover, and it turns out it says, "For fans of We Are Liars." And that's all that I needed to know. Like, I would have still picked the book up if I would have read it and was thinking of a We Are Liars vibe, but I was expecting something completely different from the book, which kind of took away its enjoyment for me. But if I would have went into it knowing that it was going to be kind of similar to We Are Liars, I would have totally loved this book because I loved We Are Liars. But that's why it fell flat for me, just because like I read like over half of the book thinking it was going to be about this accident season and about everyone trying to like fend for themselves and things like that, and it turned out it is absolutely nothing, hardly about the accident season. I mean, it pops up every now and then, but like there's like a bigger picture, and I wasn't getting the bigger picture because I was thinking that this book was solely about accidents. So I probably would reread this again next year with the mindset of We Are Liars. And also the characters in this book, I don't know what it is, but it just seemed like Bia was the only one who really had a fleshed out character. I don't know why, but she just seemed to be the only one who just really was a person. Everyone else was kind of like, I don't know, it's just really weird. But the characters Bia was my favorite, obviously, but she was the only one who really had personality, I felt. So I don't know, I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. But at the same time, I'm like, this book is probably actually really good if I go into it with the right mindset. The next story that I read was The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. And this book is also a set of poetry collections. And I don't know why, but it is kind of like Ruby Kerr. Is that how you say her name, first of all? Yes, Ruby Kerr. Now, I read Milk and Honey first. So when I was going through this book, I personally kept feeling a Milk and Honey vibe, but it was like an overdone Milk and Honey vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but like, Milk and Honey, every now and then, if you can see, she'll do like this little thing at the bottom. It's like they took that idea and ran with it for the whole entire book. And I don't know. And then they did have a lot of really good poems in this book. I just didn't tab them off. I took pictures instead. But I don't know. It just seemed like it was a copy of Milk and Honey. And I just got curious, and I literally took the time to look and see which book was published first, Milk and Honey or The Princess Saves Herself in This One. And Milk and Honey came out first. And I don't know if the author was intending for it to seem kind of identical to Milk and Honey, but obviously this is her story. This is Amanda Lovelace's story, and obviously they're just talking about similar topics, which I understand that part, but it's the way that it's done, the way that it's created was very similar to Milk and Honey, which kind of brought me aback a little bit. It didn't seem like the story in itself was original, just the way that it was presented wasn't, in my personal opinion. But overall, I did actually like this one. I did like most of the poems. I like how it was sectioned off as well, just like Milk and Honey. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And I also read a graphic novel this month, and it was Witches by Snyder, Jock, Hallsworks, and Robbins, and this is volume 1. I actually read this book twice this month because the first time I read it, for some reason, what was happening just wasn't clicking with me, and I wasn't quite sure why it wasn't clicking, so I had to reread it again. But what made me pick this book up is because it was blurred by Stephen King, but the art in this is really beautiful. I don't know, the art in here is really, really neat, really, really cool. Basically, this is a story that follows a girl who moved. I can't remember where she moved from or to, but she moved to a little town, and she was being bullied at her old town, and she was like in the woods or something, and this girl that was bullying her was threatening her, and then something like just randomly like snatched the girl, like just snatched her. And so they moved. The parents thought it was a great idea to move to make it easier for their child. So once they get to the new town, she starts seeing the girl that got snatched. She keeps thinking that something is coming for her, and she keeps saying like, they're coming for me, and she gets bit, and then it's just a lot that happens, that goes down. But the ending really got me. Not the ending, like once you find out why she thinks that they're like, you find out that they are coming for her, but once you find out why they're coming for her, and basically like in order for like the witches to come after you, someone has to pledge you. Once you find out who pledged her, oh my goodness gracious. I don't know. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the very last book that I read this month is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Now, this book, I'm already smiling, oh my gosh. So this book was so good. I have a book talk on this book. It's so good. Like I said, I've been in a reading slump, and I'm so glad that this is like the first official book that I've read in kind of took me out of the reading slump, and I'm very, very happy and thankful for that. This book was great. This book follows a girl named Vera, and she's in the woods, she's hunting, and she accidentally kills a fairy. And you're not supposed to kill a fairy, so now she has to go and live with this other high lord named Tamlin, and she has to live in his court and live the rest of her life there, or so she thinks. And just a lot of stuff happens, and this book was really, really nice. I did see the Beauty and the Beast kind of retelling, but I don't know how this is series, obviously, but I don't know how it's going to continue, considering I personally feel like the Beauty and the Beast retelling is now done, is now closed. Like, the Beast is done. But I don't know, I'm very curious to read on, and I can't wait. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. So that is all the books that I read this month. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this. And if you have any suggestions on what I should read, or comment down below, and I might read it. Thank you for watching. Bye. Like, what could he possibly want from Vera that, you know, he can't find somewhere else? Like, he basically knew that she was going to win. Well, he didn't know, but he